I want to look at the chickens. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. Am I going inside?
Should I start my best New Balance video with 5 minutes of chicken food?
Dude, these things are just everywhere, mobbing out. The thing is, these are not even my chickens. These are not my chickens. These are my neighbor's chickens in the back. And I think we have a part of our fence in the back that's open. We bought this house about a year and a half ago, and we haven't fixed everything. So these guys are just coming through that part of the fence. But Charlie was just saying it's not our job to contain our neighbor's chickens. But I like them. I don't mind. We just got some chickens at the shoe market today. Oh, that's fire. So I've been wanting to put together a roundup or an overview of best New Balance shoes and also go through their lineup. I did this for Nike a few weeks ago, and I was thinking New Balance would be a good one to do it for now that the 1080 has released. So we have the entirety of their 2024 lineup out. And today I'm going to be running in the cheapest or the most affordable, the lowest price shoe in the New Balance's lineup, because this is actually the shoe that I have the least number of miles in and just the fewest insights on. So I want to run in the Propel V5 this morning, $120 daily trainer. It's in the Fuel Cell line. So New Balance has two lines of shoes, Fuel Cell and then Fresh Foam. Fuel Cell is more of their speed oriented, fun oriented shoes, and then Fresh Foam is their comfort oriented line of shoes. I enjoyed it in the first run. I enjoyed it so much that I actually doubled back and did a second run in it on the same day. However, at the end of that second run, I was feeling like maybe is it not enough protection for what I typically like to run in? And certainly a $120 shoe is not going to be designed for high mileage marathon training like I'm doing. It's not, a shoe like this is not designed for you to beat it into the ground. But at the same time, it does have the plastic plate, it does have the fuel cell foam, and a lot of these shoes at 120, 130, like the Adidas Audizero SL2, provide more value than you'd expect. So we're going to do 10 miles in it this morning. I'm going to go from the most affordable shoe to the most expensive shoe in this overview, starting with the Propel V5, get some miles on this, give you some insights on whether this is one to consider if you're on a budget, and then highlight some of my favorite New Balance shoes of the year. So enough of this chicken business. Let's get some miles in. All right, our chicken friends left us. Let's see what we got today. Whew, 10 miles. I went exactly 10 miles, 7:35 pace, and the pace was fine. But I'm feeling like, I don't even know. Pace doesn't tell the full story, but I'm realizing right now, recovery for me is anything slower than 7:30 right now. That was definitely recovery zone. It's been hard for me to turn over my legs this week, and I don't know what happened. Maybe it was the 130 miles last week, but man, it's been a fight. Seems like every single run, even my relaxed runs this week, which most of them have been relaxed runs, are just a slog. And usually I'll get to this point where, the first few miles are always a little bit difficult, and then I warm up into the run, mile 4, mile 5, and then I'll usually drop the pace. If I'm feeling good, I can finish a regular run around a 6:30, 6:40. But this week it's been, I get to mile 6, 7, 8, and my legs are just lead. And my pace is dropping to 7:30, 7:40. So not great. That's not what we want to see. We do have some time to cut the mileage before the marathon, but this is the hard thing. Finding the right balance of mileage and also figuring out how to dial up the intensity. So yeah, that was tough. 10 miles. This shoe is solid. It's a solid daily trainer. Now, I actually ran my last 50 miles this week in the Glycerin Max. I was just straight running in that. That shoe is awesome. And that's the shoe where when you get to mile 5, mile 6 and start to feel the pace dropping and your legs getting tired, a shoe like that will help you fight back, help you keep turning over the legs, give you a little bit of extra oomph. This doesn't quite have that. Now, when walking and running at slower paces and for the first 45 minutes, the comfort is great. Now, there's not there's not as much stack in here as something like the 1080 or some of the other shoes I'll highlight here, but for $120, this is awesome. And if you're looking to go up to 45 minutes and you want to buy a new shoe, you don't want to spend a ton of money, this is going to be a great choice. If you're doing high mileage marathon training, 60, 70 miles per week plus, and you're looking for something to run in every day, this wouldn't be my choice. But for high school cross-country runners or for a beginner who wants something that looks good, they have this in a bunch of different, more muted colorways as well. But if you want something that looks good, that's going to feel good for up to 45 minutes, that's comfortable for walking, this is a great pick. And it's I think this is the most affordable running shoe I've tested this year. Actually, the Atreyu shoe that I tested is a little cheaper, but for the most affordable mainstream shoe that I've tested, this is awesome. I have no complaints in terms of the comfort, the fit, the feel, the ride. It has a slight bounce, a little soft with some good protection. By the end of the 10 miles, I was wishing for a little bit more stack, but again, $120, not bad. And if you're not used to running in super max stack shoes like I've been doing, this will be completely fine. It's roughly equivalent to something like the New Balance Rebel. But we got a shower, and then we can get into the rest of this list. Man, we have the highs and we have the lows of training. The week has been a low, for sure. But we got to fight back. We got to refuel. And we'll get back out here tomorrow and get back out here Sunday and hopefully hit a big long run on Sunday. All right, recovery time. That's a lot of shoes, man. All right, so my plan today is to go through all of the New Balance running shoes, all the shoes in the Refuel and Fuel Cell lineup, so their core running lineup, starting with the Propel at 120 and going up to the race shoe, the SC Elite V4, picking out my favorites, but doing an overview of the entire lineup because I haven't done that yet, and I think it's important to hit on each shoe and who each shoe might be best for, even if it's not my favorite. So before we get into it, of course we have the Propel here, but before we get into it, if you have not signed up for the Supwell app, the link is in the description below. It's $1 per month. This is my app. I started it as a place for hobby joggers to gather, and also as a place for you to buy, sell, and trade gently used running shoes. So if you have a shoe like the Propel, I've put 20 miles on this so far. I like it. I don't love it compared to the Glycerin Max and the Super Blast 2 I'm going to get. Hopefully that's awesome. And some of my other shoes. I have a lot of shoes because I test a lot of shoes. I might list this on the Supwell app for somebody who's looking for a more simple but fun, comfortable shoe to get. So if you have some shoes sitting around that you're not using and that you haven't put too many miles on, you can list them. And if you're looking for a new shoe, you can buy one. We've had hundreds of deals go up, hundreds of transactions. We have lots of good training questions as well. So if you have any questions on your running, you want to ask and answer questions to help other hobby joggers, sign up for the Supwell app, $1 a month. I appreciate everyone who's joined, and I know a lot of you are probably sick of hearing me talk about it, but this is the way that I'm building the business. I've decided to build it this way with the Supwell app versus getting a check from a brand like New Balance and then also trying to review shoes at the same time, because that doesn't sit right with me. So let's get into the Propel V5. As I mentioned, this is a great, reliable, basic, no frills shoe with some fun injected into it. So you have the soft fuel cell foam, you have the plastic plate. This is going to be best for someone who wants a basic shoe. It is not one of my 5 favorites in the New Balance lineup given all of the other awesome choices, but at $120 it's going to be great value. So with that, let us go into the next shoe, moving up to the $140 price point, to a shoe that is one of my 5 favorites. Hold on, I'm just saying 5 favorites. I don't even know. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. 1. All right, so next up here we have the New Balance Rebel V4. This is the lightweight speed training and everyday running shoe. This is one of my top picks in the New Balance lineup, and this is going to be great if you want that basic no frills lightweight shoe. Difference between the Propel, the Rebel V4. Rebel V4 is a lot lighter. It's a different foam. Even though these are both fuel cell shoes, don't let that trick you, because fuel cell is a different compound across most of the shoes. In this, there's some race foam blended in. It's light, it's bouncy, it's still flexible, it still has some ground feel, some good connection. So if you don't want a super max stack shoe, but you want something for running fast, this is going to be a good pick. Now, compared to some of the other shoes on the market, like the Brooks Hyperion 2, the Adizero SL2, the Hoka Mach 6 at the price point, this isn't my absolute favorite of the category, but it's up there for sure. It's a top 3 or 4 pick, and it is a little bit softer than those other shoes. That's the differentiator in the calling card of the Rebel V4. It's a little bit softer and it has a nice rocker. So if you're looking for a more traditional, no frills, lightweight shoe for some faster runs, some shorter runs, this is going to be great. I took it up to 23 miles and wasn't my favorite for that. It's not a long run shoe. It can do it, but hey, if you are a fan of lower stack shoes, you could use this for long runs. But for most people out there, this is going to be that option that you want to take out for those faster runs. Also good for walking and good for getting some, man, it's one of those days. Yeah, good for walking and good for going to the gym as well. This is the one New Balance shoe I'd pick if I wanted a walking gym shoe. Now let's contrast that with another New Balance shoe at the $140 price point, the 880, and I really wanted to hit on every shoe so I could tell you the ones to avoid as well. 880 is 100% not one of my favorites. This is one of my least favorite shoes of the entire year. And the reason it's even more disappointing to me is because it's called the Fresh Foam 880. Can you see that? It's one of those days where we're just going to be flipping the light backing up. But Fresh Foam. It's called the Fresh Foam 880, but it does not have the same character as any of the other Fresh Foam shoes. It's stiff, it's rigid, it's firm. Look at this. And I don't mind a firm shoe. Some of my most enjoyable or favorite speed training shoes and fast shoes are firmer. Endorphin Elite is firmer. It's great. Hyperion 2 by Brooks is firmer, and it's great. But what you typically get from a firmer shoe is more bounce, more response. And what you get out of a super soft shoe is you sink in, you don't get as much bounce back, it's not as fast. So when I see a firmer platform, I'm expecting it to be better for picking up the pace. This thing just felt flat and dead whenever I tried to pick up the pace, and then it felt harsh and unforgiving for my more relaxed miles. So at $140, I absolutely do not recommend the shoe. If you want a faster, more comfortable shoe, go for the Rebel V4. And if you are looking for that traditional daily shoe, if you want a standard daily trainer, something like the Nike Pegasus, the 880, the Saucony Rides of the world, I've found that a lot of those historic nameplates aren't great, but the one that I have loved this year is, drumroll please, oh, New Balances, no, almost New Balance down, no New Balance down. The 860, now look at these two. They look almost identical. You can see on the 860, this is the good one right here. You have the gray logo. On the 880, you have the white logo. The other difference in the 860 here, just in terms of the looks, is you have this red line going through. That's actually a plastic plate. So the 860 is New Balance's stability shoe. But this has one of the best training midsoles of the year, stability or neutral. And the stability elements in here aren't too cumbersome, aren't too prescriptive, and I didn't even really quite notice them. It reminds me a lot of something like the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 blended with a more traditional shoe. If you could take the Speed 3 and smash it together with the Pegasus, and what the best version of the Pegasus could be, you might get something like the 860. So this does live up to that Fresh Foam 860 name with the Fresh Foam in here. It's much softer than the 880, and that was one of the most puzzling things to me. I'm thinking, why is the stability shoe softer than the non-stability version? Because this is supposed to be the stable version of the 880, but it's got nice bounce to it, nice roll. One of the best training rockers out there. You can see how it curves up at the front. It also has this nice curve at the back, or a nice heel bevel back here. And you can see 880, it doesn't have that same curve. There's a little bit of this roll up front, but when running, it's just, man, this foam is so stiff. It's so firm. It just does not feel good at all. So I've taken the 860 up to 21 miles. I did a 21-mile long run in the Poconos for this, and it was great. If I could pick one shoe out of the New Balance lineup to do all my miles, it would probably be this or the 1080, which I will highlight in a second. But $140, same price point as the Rebel. If you want something a little bit more robust, the Rebel is that more speed-oriented shoe. This is that more everyday miles shoe, versatile, handle every type of run, some fun, some comfort. I also use this for walking when my feet were feeling a little bit banged up. This is great. So one of the best shoes of the year. This is a crowd-pleasing shoe. It's also in that sweet spot of not too soft, not too firm, and there's nothing in the shoe that gets in the way. It's one of those everything you need, nothing you don't. The stack height is in that perfect zone of mid-high 30s. It doesn't feel too cushioned, but there's not so much ground feel that it feels harsh. It's just an awesome shoe. It's an awesome shoe. It gets the job done. And especially if you're a bigger runner or don't like super soft, you're still going to like this shoe. All right, so this is going on the good side here. I think I'm just going to put a good side and then just okay side. All right, next up we have the New Balance More V5, another cushion shoe in the New Balance lineup. New Balance has so many cushion shoes, and we still have lighting drama. I'm actually out here 3 hours later because I forgot to include the More V5 in the rundown. It actually is one of my favorite shoes. It's just I go into the office, I have so many assets that sometimes I don't see all the shoes that I have, and I forgot to do another shoe too that we'll do in a second here. This is New Balance's Super Max Stack shoe. It's not as crazy as the Glycerin Max and the Mag Max, but it's up there. It's got above 40 millimeters in the heel. They wrap the foam around so it looks even taller. It provides a little cradle for the foot. It has a nice rocker, lots of squish, good protection, and a lot of bounce. More bounce than you'd expect for a shoe of this size, and the weight isn't crazy. It's actually the same weight as the 1080 V14, which we will get to in a second. I already got to it earlier because I'm on my second filming session of the day because I forgot this shoe, but for you will get to it in a second. So More V5, if you're looking for the ultimate in cushion and comfort out of the New Balance lineup, that would be the More V5. It has that massive stack. It also has, again, a little bit more of that bounce, and it still has some comfort. Now, the downside to this shoe, and where it's not quite working for some people out there, I didn't personally have this issue, but a lot of other people did, the toe box. A lot of hobby joggers found the toe box a little too narrow here, so if you have a wider foot, you might need to go half a size up or get the wide version. That was not an issue for me, but the way that they wrap the foam and taper this toe box here, it might be an issue for you. It actually was an issue for Charlie, my wife. Now, this is her favorite shoe right now for walking, for casual use. Interestingly enough, she picks the 1080 for running. and for everyday miles. So that's how I would think about these shoes. This is more of the ultimate in comfort if you want a walking shoe. This would be the Disneyland shoe in the New Balance lineup. If you're looking for the best, most comfortable shoe out there, I put this on my, it cracked the top 5. It was on my most comfortable shoes list. It was either 4, 5, or 6. So it's up there for sure. The stability is solid, and that's the thing with these brands. They're now wrapping the foam around the back. That provides some good stability as well. So this is gonna go on my favorite side for sure. More down. Next up, we have the New Balance 1080 V14. So I recently got 100 miles on this shoe. I actually don't even know if I don't think it's available for sale yet, but this is another awesome shoe from New Balance. Very soft, very comfortable, and it reminded me of the 860, except a little bit softer even. You can see in the design language of these two shoes, they've designed them to look pretty similar too. But this is like a softer version of the 860. It has that roll to it. They firmed it up maybe 5% from the 1080 V13, but it's not a significantly firmer shoe. If you like the 1080 V13, you are still going to like this. I also took it up for a 20-mile long run, and it performed great. It has a little bit less of that squish than the last version, a little bit more bounce, but it still retains a very similar character. So it's fun, it's smooth, it's comfortable. If you're looking for a ride that will take the burden off your legs but still give you a little bit of connection to the ground, and that's the difference between this shoe and some of the Max Stack shoes like the Glycerin Maxes of the world and the Super Blast of the world. This does have a little bit more of that traditional feel. So it's 165. Did I say 160 earlier? It's 165. Competes with shoes like the Nimbus, the Glycerin, the Ghost Max. One of the softest shoes out there still. So if you're looking for a soft daily trainer, this is my top pick. Top pick for a soft daily trainer in 2024. You are not going to be let down by this shoe. And the changes they made with the rocker on the V13 to this improve it a lot. Man, just pushing, look at this. You got to just see how soft this is. And people are saying or worried that it got too firm. No, it did not. It did not get too firm. Look at that. So 1080 V14, still one of the best shoes out there. All right, next up here, now we're going into a little bit of disappointing shoes. I think the last 3 I highlighted, those are my favorite shoes, and especially before we get into this next one, the 860 V14 and 1080 V14, these are 2 shoes that are better than anything else on the market from other brands at what they're trying to do. These are the 2 best shoes for what they're trying to do. Some support and stability with comfort and fun. Probably the best do-it-all shoe of the year, the 860 at 140. This does what a lot of the plated trainers do, and it does have that plastic plate in there. I should have mentioned it has the plastic plate for stability, but it doesn't really get in the way. This does what a lot of more expensive shoes do at 140, and then the 1080 V14 is just a special soft shoe. Now, as we're moving through, moving up to the last few shoes here in the lineup, these shoes are not, they don't provide more value to me than others in the category. This is the SC Trainer V3. This is not the best plated training shoe. I'm a little bit skeptical of this category in general. I would rather go for one of the more comfort-oriented shoes like the Glycerin Max, or even something like a Nimbus or a 1080 for a lot of my runs. I'm not seeing quite seeing the place for the market in these. Some people like them if they don't want to spend $250 on a race shoe. They'll get this, which I understand. That's probably the one segment of buyers who this will benefit, but most people who buy these shoes already have the race shoe, and that's my issue with this category. It's a theoretical straw man argument. People are saying, well, these exist so that the newer runner who doesn't want to spend $250 will get this as the race shoe. Yes, but the majority, I would venture to say the majority of people buying plated trainers already have a race shoe and a daily trainer. That is my hobby jogger finger in the air research. There's no data to back that up, but that's my guess. Regardless, the lighting's just gonna be off in this video, that's fine. Regardless, SC Trainer V3, what is this good for? It's stable, it's comfortable, and if we're thinking about this versus the other plated training shoes, the stability and comfort and protection, those are elements that it indexes higher on than its peers. and its competitors. The thing is, we had 2 great shoes come out recently that prove exactly my point with what I'm saying about these shoes. The Glycerin Max and the Mag Max, both more comfortable than this, both with probably a little bit more bounce and a little bit of a softer feel underfoot that I think would be great for 4-hour marathoners that just do the job of this better. This is not an aggressive shoe. This is not a shoe that I'm going to take out if I'm trying to burn some intervals. And for me, or for most people out there, what this shoe is going to be best at is a long run, giving some more assistance and protection and comfort over the long run. And I would take either of those shoes I mentioned, Glycerin Max or Mag Max, over this. And then if I wanted to feel fast with a plated training shoe, I would go for something like the Hoka Mach X2 or the Brooks Hyperion Max 2. And I need to get some more miles in both of those shoes. I do have 100 miles on this guy, by the way. And did I say how many miles? I have about 50, I think 46 on the 860 V14 and 130 on the Rebel. I have 30 to 40 on the 880. I could not get any more than that. And now I have 24 on the Propel. Guys, I'm really trying with the light. This is what happens when I'd rather do it manually and have the light be off a little bit than have it on auto and then it's just tripping everywhere. We got to do things by hand. We got to have a connection to the craft. This is a little bit of a floaty, boaty plated trainer. It's going to give you a lot of protection. It gives you that wide platform. If you have a wider foot and want a more forgiving, accommodating feel, this is going to be great. And not everyone wants a super aggressive feeling carbon plated shoe. But if that's the case, then don't buy a carbon plated shoe. This is my issue with the SC Trainer V3. They put a plate in here, but it doesn't do any of the things that you want a plated shoe to do. It makes no sense. Just get the Glycerin Max, get the Mag Max, get the 1080 if you want comfort. It's doing a little bit of everything and it's not great at anything. It's like the same thing that I had with the Super Blast, except it just has a plate. So it didn't blow me away on any front. I do think if you're just looking for something comfortable, if you're the type of person who wants something comfortable, you're going for a 4-hour marathon, you want your first plated shoe, you want something that's a little bit more fun than your Clifton, or a little bit more fun than maybe you're running in even the Rebel, and you want a little bit more protection, this is going to be fine. But if you want to actively seek out the best option, and you're the type of person who wants the best gear, this is not the best gear. This is not the best gear. This is okay. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It didn't hurt to run in. It wasn't unenjoyable to run in. It was just fine. The protection was good. The comfort was good. It was a solid shoe to have on my foot for, I did 100 mile, it wasn't a 100 mile week, but I ran 100 miles in it maybe 2 weeks. So I was running in it quite a lot. And I wasn't excited to run in it every time like I have been with the Glycerin Max, and like even with the 1080, I was pretty excited to run in it for all those runs. It was just okay. But if just okay is fine, if you just want comfort, if you want something reliable, this is good. That's what this is best for. Reliability. Also, the wear on it is pretty solid at 100 miles. You can see here, I actually did, this is my fault. I went on a gravel path when I was out in California in Montaña de Oro. And so I chewed up the inside of the foam here and nicked up the plate. But that's, I mean, don't go on a sharp rock path with your plated shoe. Just don't do that. But other than that, I mean, look at the rubber here. It was great. The grip on this in the wet weather is also really good. All the New Balance shoes have really good wet weather grip. It's getting competitive out there. New Balance, Brooks, they're catching up to Adidas and Puma, or at that same tier. Maybe New Balance is one tier below those. So it's reliable. It's just, it doesn't have that special factor. It does not have that special factor. So it's going on this side, not my favorite side. All right, now we're moving up to the disgusting price range, $200, New Balance Balos. This is the Balos V1 Fresh Foam. So the SC Trainer V3, that's a fuel cell shoe. That's a speed-oriented shoe. This is the Fresh Foam Balos. This is the comfort-oriented shoe. It's like if you took this shoe and this shoe, the 1080 and the Rebel, and smashed them together. And at first thought, you might think that sounds awesome. It's gonna have the softness and the comfort of the 1080. It's going to have the bounce and the lightweight of the Rebel. And it does to an extent, and it's kind of awesome to an extent, but like the SC Trainer V3, it felt like it was lacking maybe a little bit of that special feeling that you want from a $200 shoe. And especially having tested the Glycerin Max recently and the Mag Max and the Skyward X, I liked this shoe. I didn't love it. This would have been a better shoe at 180 or 165. And it's an innovation product. It's a hero product. The reason it's $200 is because New Balance is now mixing in this fresh foam blend race foam. And they haven't done that before. They haven't put PIBA or polyether black amide in a fresh foam shoe before. So it's a cool shoe if you're the type of runner, if you're the type of hobby jogger who wants to try all of the different types of shoes on the market and get different experiences. You are going to have a different experience out of this shoe. I would just go for the 1080 at, oh gosh, man, this is just dramatic. I would go for the 1080 at 165 over the Balos. The Balos is a little bit lighter weight, but it didn't feel that much better at anything to me than the 1080. And also look at this. So these both have about 100 miles on them. And you can see, oh, this isn't the one. The other one is inside. But the other Balos that I have, the inside here of this foam is completely chewed up. But you can even see with the ground contact EVA, it's worn down. The durability isn't going to be as great on the Balos, at least on the rubber front, as the 1080. So if we're thinking about 1080 V14 versus the Balos, 1080 V14, the price is better. The ride was a little bit better. At times, I was just feeling like the Balos was maybe a little bit too soft. And it does have some good bounce to it. And it's a fun shoe, but at $200, you need to have something transcendent. And the comfort in here is transcendent. I just wish the bounce were dialed up a little bit more. They need to firm this up 7%. Firm this up 7%. This is going to be one of the best shoes if they do a Balos V2. The other thing with this is they're not sure if they're going to do a Balos V2 or if they're just going to trickle this out and have some of the design features in this be in the 1080 V15. That's what I've heard through the grapevine. I actually might have read it on the Supwell forum or something. So that is not coming strictly or straight from New Balance. That is no sources, just straight rumors. But that is what I've heard, that they're using this to test out some potential developments that maybe they would put in the next 1080. It's possible we won't get a Balos V2, but for what it is, it's pretty cool. I'm glad that I could be one of the first to run in it, and it's a fun shoe. I like running in it, especially for recovery miles. It's soft, it's smooth. I'll probably put it on my favorite side of New Balance, but after having tested the Glycerin Max is a better shoe. And after testing the Skyward X and loving the Skyward X, if I'm paying $200 plus for one shoe, for me, that's going to be the Skyward X. So in the New Balance lineup, I like the shoe, but I prefer the 1080. I prefer the Skyward X. If I'm going to be building a two-shoe rotation for training, 1080 and Skyward X, that wouldn't be bad. Or something like 1080 Hyperion 2 and Skyward X could be cool. But this is cool. This is cool for what it is. I'm probably going to... Oh gosh, we got bees on the Propel. I'm probably going to move this into my casual shoe rotation within the next few months because I'm not running it all that much. All right. All right, next up here we have the New Balance SC Pacer B2. This is a sleeper pick. This is a sleeper shoe, and this is one of the other shoes that I forgot to include when I first came out here filming because it's not a shoe that gets a lot of pop. It's not a shoe that gets a lot of buzz because it's not a marathon racing shoe. It's not a plated training shoe. It's not a max stack shoe. It's their 5K, 10K racing shoe. This is probably the least hyped segment of the market. You have the Adidas Takumi Sen. You have the Nike Streak Fly. Putting in work. Putting in work for sure. And they're stopping at my neighbor's house. Yeah, Adidas Takumi Sen, Nike Streak Fly, which I just tested, the Hoka Cielo Road, which I have not tested, the Saucony Sinister, which I have not tested. So I haven't even tested a lot of the 5K, 10K racing shoes. But of the ones that I have tested, This is up there, and I actually like this more as a speed-oriented shoe, a speed trading shoe, or a lower stack alternative to the SC Elite V4. So I'll get into the SC Elite V4 in a second, but this uses the same foam as the marathon racing shoe. It has the carbon fiber plate, but there's less of it. It's 50 to 60 grams lighter. I might be overshooting a little bit. It's significantly lighter than the SC Elite V4, and I don't feel like I'm fighting against the foam as much in this shoe than the SC Elite V4. I felt like they could have brought the foam down a little bit. It just was a lot of foam and a little bit too comfort oriented, not fast and aggressive enough. So when I tested this is basically exactly what I wanted out of a New Balance race shoe, because it still is a New Balance. They still have baked in some comfort, but they've lowered the stack. So this is right in that sweet spot for me, where not too soft, not too firm, not too tall, not too low. I loved it. Now some people I know our guy Andrew had some issues with the upper. I think he actually sent the shoe back. Andrew, Midlife Runner. Shout out to Midlife Runner. Go check out his channel if you have not already. But he had some issues, I think, with the upper rubbing. And he also said, I saw a post he did on Instagram, he said he just didn't find it aggressive enough and was expecting a little bit more magic. I typically agree with that. I want more magic out of a $200 shoe. And I've heard that from a few people about this shoe as well. The difference is this is a racing shoe. You get the 100% race foam, you get the carbon plate, and the other cheapest racing shoe, mainstream racing shoe with 100% polyether black amide and the carbon fiber plate would be $225 in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. So you're not getting as much stack in this shoe, but the special quality in it here is it gives me more ground feel. It gives me more connection. There's nothing else quite like this on the market. And no, it's not the most aggressive shoe, but it feels more normal to me. And I think that's why some people didn't like it, like our friend Andrew, but I loved it because it has some of that normal vibe in a shoe that I can still run fast in. So I tested this over a 22-mile long run, and I really enjoyed it. I had no complaints. I thought it was going to be not enough stack and bottom out for me. I didn't have that issue at all. It was also great when I did some intervals, some speed training workouts. Now this is probably a shoe that warrants a 50-mile review, and I can really push the pace and maybe even do a double day or something. So it's not fully tested, but as of now, this is my favorite New Balance shoe for running fast. I prefer it over the SC Elite V4, spoiler alert, and I prefer it over the SC Trainer B3. So if you're looking for a New Balance shoe to run fast in and you are not training for marathons, maybe you're training for a shorter distance, this would be great. Sweet spot distances for this would be 5K, 10K, half marathon. I think most people want a little bit more stack than this for the marathon, but it reminded me of something like the Nike Vaporfly 2. And again, this is $200. The Nike Vaporfly 2 is, what is that shoe? Or it was $250 or more. And the stack on this measures lower, but I compared this visually to the Vaporfly 2. It looks very similar when we're thinking about the stack right here. So it's not a super low shoe. And also the foam is decently high density, meaning you're going to get some good protection. So even though it is only, I don't know the stack numbers off the top of my head, even though it's not as tall stacked as a lot of the other marathon racing shoes, it comes in at 220 grams because you get good rubber coverage and you get a little bit of a higher density foam than something like ZoomX, which compresses a lot, which makes this shoe punch above its weight class a little bit when thinking about the protection to stack ratio. So overall, a solid shoe. This would be one of my top picks if you want something for high rocks. This and the Tier Valkyrie Elite are probably the two best running shoes that I've tested for high rocks specific stuff. You get the classic wide base, you get the carbon fiber plate. Overall, a really solid shoe. So this is going into my favorites list as well. Last guy here. Bada boom. Bees. Bees in that trap. Bees in the trap. Bada bang. All right, New Balance SC Elite V4. This is the last shoe we're going to talk about today. Sitting at the top of the lineup, $250 racing shoe. Part of the Fuel Cell family of shoes. And another shoe that, in a vacuum, is fine. I feel very similarly about these two shoes, the SC Trainer, which is the training version, and the SC Elite, which is the racing version. The ride experience
Bro, he's riding in a truck with different colored doors than body, which is fine. Do whatever you want to your truck. But he's also texting and not looking at the same time. And then he's just skirting around here like it's the Indy 500. That's how you end up with a truck whose doors are a different color than the bed. Some personal responsibility. I feel the same about these two shoes. Both are protective, both are comfortable, both have a nice smooth ride. They're just lacking that special quality. There was nothing bad about the ride of the SC Elite V4. It's just not on the same level as the top tier of race shoes that I've loved this year. And similar to how I feel about the Skyward X versus the Balos and the SC Trainer V3, that's the same way I feel about the Cielo X1. If you want stability, if you want comfort, if you want bounce as a hobby jogger, go for the Cielo X1. That's the best hobby jogger comfort race shoe. And I believe that's what New Balance was trying to do with this, but they didn't quite nail it. The foam is just okay. So this is their first time using the 100% polyether block amide, and the reason why brands are now all shifting to polyether block amide is because it has all the properties that you want in a race shoe. It's resistant to cold temperatures. It has the most energy return or bounce. So when you put more power into the shoe, it gives you more of that power back. So a standard training foam like the absolutely terrible ethylene vinyl acetate in the 880 or the EVA, this is gonna have a lot less bounce than the 1080 or than the SC Elite V4 here, because the properties of this foam just doesn't give you as much of what you put down back. So say you're putting down 100 power meters in the 1080 here, you're gonna be getting maybe 60 of those power meters back. You put down 100 power meters in the SC Elite V4, you get 80 of those power meters back. That's what I call physics for hobby joggers. Charlie and I in high school or in college, we took a class called Physics for Poets. So anytime I just start spewing random scientific nonsense, she makes fun of me. Physics for Poets. Also, I think I went to that class 3 out of 16 times. If you're in school, go to class. But I probably went to that, 3 out of 16 times, and I just used her, read her notes before the exam, and then got like a B+ in the class. That pretty much sums up my college career. SC Elite V4. Yes, it has the polyether block amide, but it's not special. It's comfortable, it's smooth, it's stable, it has all of the appropriate adjectives that you would expect out of a solid shoe, and New Balance really does not make any bad shoes, except for the 880. That's probably the worst shoe that I've run in this year. They don't make any bad shoes, really. Their hit rate is high. It's just okay. It's just okay. It was okay for long runs, but these two shoes feel so similar that for somebody who wants that comfortable, stable, floaty, boaty feeling where you're getting a lot of protection, you're not getting a lot of aggression, I would just go for the SC Trainer V3 at 180. There really is not a big difference between these two shoes at all. Maybe you get more bounce out of the SC Trainer V3, but if you're looking for bounce, go for the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 at $225. Go for the Hoka Cielo X1 at $275, which is more expensive than this if you're looking for the most bounce. Or you could even undercut this and go for something like the Puma Deviate Elite 3 if you're going for a sub-3 marathon, or if you want something a little bit faster feeling. If you're not concerned about price, you could go for the Diodora Gara and get some of that soft bounce. This is just not on the same level as any of the top race shoes on the market. It's a solid shoe. It's not going to be the one I'm pulling for the Chicago Marathon. It's not going to be the one I'm pulling for I don't know what. Maybe I'll let go of it on the Supwell marketplace now that I've done this video. Maybe I'll start unloading a lot of these shoes. I don't know why I'm holding on to all these shoes. I guess because I like to test them. Maybe at the end of the year I'll unload more of these shoes. But solid shoe. If I had to put a number score on it, it would be a 6.5 out of 10. Not on the same level as my favorite race shoes. Cloud Boom Strike is up there as well. Cloud Boom Strike, Alpha Fly, Endorphin Elite, Cielo X1. Those are my core 4 right now. And then Puma Deviate Elite 3 and Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. Those are title wells. So those are probably my 5 favorite race shoes right now. This is just fine. All right, we have an EV backing up, backing that gas up. You get it? But there's no gas in the EV. Quick rundown on my 5 favorite shoes here, now that we finally got to the end of the video. So I will start from the bottom, like our friend Aubrey. Okay, first favorite here, New Balance Rebel V4. This is the pick if you want lightweight speed, if you're looking for that comfortable walking gym shoe, but with not a lot of max stack, this is a great pick. It has good rubber coverage for the rain. It might not be the most durable. It's probably not going to be, I was looking to see if that was a bug or just a shadow. It's probably not going to be the best for long runs. Matter of fact, I know it's not going to be the best for long runs, but if you do not want a ton of foam, this is a nice pick. 140, you get some soft bounce, you get some speed assistance, and it looks pretty cool too. So this is the lightweight speed everyday running shoe, not the most protection, but good pep in your step for some faster miles. Now next up here, this is going to be my pick of the New Balance lineup for most people. This is the crowd pleaser. This is the do-it-all shoe. This is the versatile banger. It's the New Balance 860 V14. You get the roll, you get the 2 types of foam, a little bit of a firmer foam on the bottom, softer foam on the top. One of the best applications of not only fresh foam, but of dual foam in general, and it does live up to the fresh foam name. So if you're looking for a workhorse shoe to put a lot of miles in, if you want to have 1 or 2 shoes, this is a great shoe to do it all. Yes, it's a stability shoe, but there's nothing in it that's too weird, that screams, I'm a stability shoe, I'm gonna mess with your stride. It doesn't feel like it's messing in my stride in any way. So this is the pick for most people, beginner runners, bigger runners, if you want a little bit of support, but a lot of bounce, a lot of fun, a lot of comfort. This is a great pick at $140. Now moving up the price chain, buying 155 New Balance More V5. This is the pick for max comfort, max stack, max cushion. If you're looking for that walking shoe and all you want is comfort, that would be this. If you're looking for that recovery running shoe and all you want is comfort, if you want a daily trainer, an everyday running shoe and all you want is comfort, that is this. This is comfort amped up to the limits. Push it to the limit. Oh, this is the Rick Ross of running shoes, okay? This is the biggest boss that I've seen thus far in the New Balance lineup. Max stack, max cushion, max protection, decent bounce, more bounce than you would expect for a shoe with this much stack, and it runs. We're still doing this. We're still doing this. We've been out here grinding for 2-3 dang hours, and we're still doing this. Not 2-3, but 2 separate sessions adding up to an hour. Mr. Golden Sun is just killing me today. More V5, comfortable shoe, the best mom shoe of 2024. This is Charlie's favorite shoe for walking and doing mom stuff. Best dad shoe of 2024 is either Adidas Supernova Prima or Saucony Hurricane. Those are the dad trip certified shoes. All right. Oh, next up here, New Balance 1080 V14. Comparing the, that's an L. Oh, dude, the pacer fell right in the dirt. Nothing a little Blue Dawn can't fix. That's not too bad. Comparing these two shoes, 1080 is the one you want for everyday miles. More V5 is the one you want for relaxed miles and recovery. It feels like a lot more stack on foot. 1080 feels much nimbler. There's a little bit more bounce. Still very soft, but more of that elevated workhorse. This is a soft workhorse. I put it through my 100-mile week test and it passed with flying colors. So one of the best daily trainers of the year, New Balance 1080 V14. I highly recommend this if you want soft comfort in your everyday running shoe. And finally, we've reached the end of the video and the sun is coming out to rain on the party. Watch the party die. Solaris. And we got girls in golf carts. Looks like they're sipping a beverage. I don't trust them. Like teenage girls or college girls drinking vodka sodas, driving their dad's golf cart around the neighborhood. That's disrespectful. SC Pacer V2, my favorite speed shoe in the New Balance lineup. You could use it for racing, you could use it for training. If you want more connection and ground feel than your standard marathon training shoe, this is a great pick. Reminds me of the Vaporfly 2. A little bit softer, more forgiving than the Takumi Sen. A little bit more bite than something like the Streak Fly. The foam isn't as soft as the Streak Fly. I want to test some of the other 5K, 10K racing shoes in this segment, like the Sinister. Saucony seems like they just completely forgot about the Sinister. I haven't seen any marketing push. I don't even know if they're selling new models of that anymore. They kind of just let it go to die. And they didn't really do a big push on the new Kinvara either. Saucony is just a little bit of a mess. SC Pacer V2. This is a good shoe. It's got the grip. It's got this solid feel to it, even though it is a little bit of a lighter weight, low stack racing shoe. So if you want more of that traditional racing flat feel in a modernized package, this would be awesome. This is also the best intervals shoe or fast shoe, aggressive running shoe in the New Balance lineup. Without being too aggressive, it still has that classic New Balance comfort. So with that, we are going to wrap on this video for the day. This was supposed to be a simple video. It turned into a full day, just complete shenanigans. We'll be back tomorrow though, with another video. No shenanigans. One more thing on the New Balance More V5. Some bigger runners have said they've bottomed this guy out, so compressed the foam a little bit more than expected, getting more ground feel and feeling like they're just slamming against the ground without protection. So if you consider yourself a bigger runner and are worried that the foam might be too soft, you will want to check out the Saucony Hurricane 24. That's the best max cushion alternative to this that is not $200. All right, this video is going to be completely out of order because I still need to film some stuff, but this is my lunch today, a little refuel. We have the Family Dough Bagels, best bagels in Charlotte. They're from Brooklyn, but they opened a shop 5 minutes away from us in Mint Hill, which is crazy. Look at this everything bagel, by the way. Perfect thickness. Their seasoning is amazing. Nice, crunchy. I almost said crunchy outsole, but crunchy outer. And then that midsole, the middle, is just the perfect amount of squish. This is the Brooks Glycerin Max of bagels right here. Shout out to Family Dough. And then we have the chickpea salad on top. This is chickpeas, vegan mayo. You can't forget the sweetened cranberries or just the dried cranberries with the celery. I put a little bit of extra black pepper on top. It's going to be fire. I'm salivating just looking at it. And then I have my coffee and a little bit of chips to go with this. And by the way, this is the garlic herb bagel. It's goated. Yeah, I'm really hungry. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, seriously, one last thing. This is like the never-ending video. I'm just annoyed at this point. I am just peeved. Vongo V6. I forgot to include the Vongo V6 because I shipped it off to one of our friends on the Supwell app because I was not running in it. The Vongo is essentially, it's supposed to be the stability version of the 1080, but the 860 is the stability version of the 1080. The Vongo was a bit of a miss for me. I only did one run in it, 4 miles. I'm sure it would have been fine. It kind of seemed like a purposeless shoe when you had the 860, which is an awesome stability shoe. So I prefer the 860 over the Vongo. The Vongo looks cool, and if you don't need stability, I would just go for the 1080, which is soft. The Vongo is a lot firmer than the 1080. It also felt a lot firmer than the 860. It felt fine to me. I don't have that many miles in it, so that's why it wasn't included in the core here, and I shipped it off. Not one of my favorite stability shoes after the first run. I prefer the 860, I prefer the Tempest, and I prefer the Nike Zoom Structure 25. All right, this video is over. I'm going to put the SD card in the thing, rip the thing to the thing, and then we're going to see you tomorrow. Just get out of here. Get off my lawn. There's no one on my lawn.